Previously on the Power of Conversation podcast. When are you going to cut your hair? So, that's a good question. I really don't know if I'm ever going to cut my hair. I say that now, but I'm going to have it cut off in like 2 months. Yes, the rumors are true. I have cut my hair. Kind of a surprising decision for some, I know, considering I literally just said that I didn't know when I was going to cut my hair. So why did I cut my hair? Well, I'm going to be going into that in just a second here. But first, as always, you can get the Power of Conversation podcast on EVZN TV on YouTube, as well as all podcasting platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. So, why did I cut my hair? Well, for me, it didn't really boil down to one particular reason, but it folded on a particular event where I was in the shower. It was about 2 weeks ago, and my hair just was not cooperating with me at all. It took like 5 hours to dry, even with a hair dryer, and it got to the point where it was so difficult to maintain, and I really didn't know how to maintain it anymore now that it got to that certain length, to where I just was kind of tired of it, and so I decided to just let it go. I thought it was time for a change. It has been, the last time I cut my hair was in 2018, so it was about 2.5 years that I grew my hair out, and yeah, it was time for a change. But I always said if I was going to cut my hair that I would at least donate it to a good cause. And that's what I did. I donated 10 inches of my hair, 2 wigs for kids. And yeah, someone else, a kid out there is going to use this hair for a better purpose than I ever did. And, you know, that will really, that would really make my day. If that were the case, because it's about being kind to other people and doing kind things for other people, and you know, that's what it's all about. And I'm sure there's a kid out there that is struggling, maybe a kid with cancer, or maybe just someone who's just losing their hair. They just need a wig. You know, I'm just trying to be a better person and do the right thing, and just a small thing like that can go a long way. So I highly advise everyone to do something kind, especially to those who need it. So that's kind of my story on that. So let me now get into the future of this podcast as to where it'll go. As I stated before, I was on a winter break starting back in late November, and it is now January 18th. The day I'm recording this podcast on Monday. I go back to school tomorrow, and I'm taking a good bit of classes, and I'll have less time on my hands than I did over this winter break. I want to keep delivering a new podcast every week. That is my goal, but do understand that may not happen due to the workload of school and life and whatever else may happen. But I am dedicated to delivering content every week, and we'll see where it goes. But do understand if there's a week or two where there's not a podcast, you know, man, just shit happens, you know. But that's kind of where things are right now. EVZN TV actually turns 3 years old on February 8th, and there will be something very, very special happening on that day. I think you can, if you've watched these other podcasts and videos before, or if you're following me on Instagram now, at _Evan Newton _, I've changed my username, that you'll know probably what's going to be coming on that day, but trying not to give too many spoilers just yet. But with that being said, let me get into what today's episode is going to be about. I have a very special interview with a rising artist named Young Phobia. I actually found out about him around 2 years ago when I was in high school, and he's always caught my eye as someone who could be really, really big in the future. And he's got a great sound about him, and I'm really excited to get to interview him because he's definitely had some notoriety, particularly with SoundCloud. And so I'm really excited to see what his process was behind that, as well as his hit. He had a hit, "Everything Is on Fire," and that was a really popular song on the internet with SoundCloud and YouTube, and it actually caught some steam. But it is no longer active for whatever reason, and I'm hoping maybe we can find that out today. But like I said, thank you for everyone that has tuned in to the podcast and subscribe to the channel. Y'all mean everything to me, and I want to keep delivering content as often as I can, but do understand things can get in the way. School is back. But in the meantime, enjoy this episode, enjoy this interview, and once again, thank y'all very much. Welcome back to the Power of Conversation. It is episode number 6. I am here with Young Phobia. What's good, bro?
What's up, man? How we doing?
Hey,
you have a good Christmas?
Hey, I did. How about you?
Shit, man, I can't complain, dude. I'm kicking it. I'm good.
That's good, man. Just making it. That's the way of life right now. Young Phobia.
Yeah, dude.
He's a rising musician. I believe originally from Covington. Is that right?
Those were my heydays, I guess.
That's your heydays. Yeah.
The bulk of my time.
Right, and I think I found out about you through Covington and that. So what was it like making music there?
As you know, I've been making music my whole life, really. Like since I started making beats when I was like 2013 or something. Yeah. And I was in Covington then, but I didn't decide to like create a pseudonym for myself and start making music till like 11th grade. And it was just a different landscape then, because that was like 2015. So yeah, you know, at the time in Covington, besides the Insane Clown Posse, there really weren't any musical acts to have. Like, there's some like Insane Clown Posse dude that lived from Covington. There really wasn't any musical acts to like get a song past like 10,000 streams or anything like that.
Which is kind of crazy in itself.
I mean, it's a really small area, but it's still Metro Atlanta, and I know people out of Conyers, out of other surrounding cities to Atlanta that have had some songs pop off. But at the time, Covington really wasn't. And when I started making music, I feel like it wasn't cool, I guess. Like that SoundCloud era, like 2017, 2016, when it was like really starting to be a thing for underground. Like every person is to buy a home studio setup. For sure. In like 2015, it wasn't. Like if you did that in school, you were gonna get made fun of. Like you were gonna get clowned. Like people were gonna like And so I feel like I went through a lot of that. Like at first, like people not, and then in turn made me not want to, I guess, be super public about it. And then like around like 2017, it was just like everyone tried to push a SoundCloud link. Everyone tried to rap just for fun. Nowadays, YouTubers just like become rap. It's just it's just like a popular thing now. Yeah. And no one really makes fun of it, which no one should have ever done it. It's lame to make fun of people who do music.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. What was the first thing that really made you decide that you were gonna make this like a public thing and that you really wanted to push your music out there?
I think when I started making songs that my friends like legitimately. I mean, I'm sure a lot of it was them hyping me up, especially at the beginning, but, like, they really encouraged me. Like, I would play them something, and they'd be like, yo, this is actually not bad. Or, like, yo, like, if you got it mixed better, it would sound pretty good, or whatever. And it made me, like, because I can make a song any day that I'd want to listen to. Because that's how I make my music, like, something I'd want to listen to, or just, like, how I'm feeling in the moment. But when people started telling me around me that they enjoyed it, or that they thought I was onto something, then it made me want to put it out.
Totally. That's cool. That's cool. Sure. So where are you at nowadays? What's the move
I'm
nowadays?
Actually staying. I'm in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I'm still working on music. I've kind of taken like this year. I know some people it made them just want to keep going, or it kind of for a lot of people at the beginning, especially the mental health side, because nothing I talk about my music is not what I legitimately go through. It's all legitimate, real stuff. So I mean, I feel like with that kind of background, sometimes I just pop out for a while, and I popped out for the majority of 2020, to be honest. Okay. So 2021, I'm just popping back in.
That's it.
I was just laying low.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, it happens some way. It sometimes happens that way. Yeah. I personally took like a 6-month absence myself. It was last January where I was just like tied up with school. And I was just creatively burnt out, and so I decided to take the absence in. But I came back around July a little bit refreshed, and I think it helps sometimes to take a little bit of a step back and really reassess what's going on.
See, the thing is, though, that isolation, it can be intoxicating. Like, you can literally just like spend so much time by yourself, not really engaged in what's going on around you or in like your art, if you have some form of like release through that, and you can just like, especially during quarantine, like, I would literally just watch that 70s show for like hours and hours and hours, and just like just not even do anything and not progress at all.
Right.
Like, so I mean, yeah. It was a good thing and a bad thing. I think this whole coronavirus thing was good for a lot of people because a lot of people needed this to slow down and have some alone time just to think. And I think for some people like who really let their shit just spin out and get away from them, it was kind of bad. So, I mean,
totally. I think it was similar for me. You know, I had a job like where I went and worked. I work actually at a pharmacy during a pandemic, which is kind of crazy. And
activists, we sipping activists.
That's it. But you know, I had that, and then I was like, when I would be home, I'd like play video games and stuff like that. So I really wasn't creatively progressing either, and it was frustrating at times. So I definitely get where you're coming from.
No, for sure.
With that. So I like to ask everyone this question when it comes to the power of conversation. Mm-hmm. Who is Young Phobia? Who is Young Phobia?
I knew that question was coming. I thought it'd be the first one, so I was actually.
I switched it up a little bit this time.
That's good. That's good. I like that. I like to think that it's kind of like an amalgamation of everything that is bad about my character, I guess. Like it's like, you know, like addiction, anxiety, anger, depression, like just like the worst parts about somebody. And it's like I can express that in my music. So I feel like that's what it is. Like, so like fear, basically.
Fear.
Like it really is true to the name. I made the name when I was making beats, and I never realized it had a meaning. And then when I got older, I realized it did.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
But yeah, I would say that.
That fear that you speak of, is it something that was rooted all in one particular place, or is it just something you experienced throughout your life, or?
I think it's just the trials, just the trials and tribulations of anyone's life, though. But I try to make it. I feel like that's the one problem is my music isn't that general. Like a lot of it's really personal experiences, but I feel like it's still like it still can be consumable by a lot of people, or at least people can at least listen to it and like somewhat be like, no, I feel that. That's why I think Everything's on Fire was such a big song for me, because I feel like a lot of people feel like they have family issues or you know, like.
And that's something I definitely want to get into here in just a little bit. For those watching on Instagram Live, this is the interview with Young Phobia right here on the Power of Conversation. So you get into music. You're making this music at a time where you didn't really want to put it out there. But then you get to the point where you put it out there and you get your first song that puts up numbers. What was that feeling like?
Oh, man. I just remember that day like it was, dude, when I realized that song was going to start picking up steam, like, that was honestly the happiest I've been besides when I got my deal, my distribution deal. That was probably the most happy I've been. But that's the second most happy. Like, when I realized that people were, it was really resonating with people. And, I mean, I had a few songs before that, like, didn't obviously do that magnitude, but they had reception that I was like really fucking with. But that was obviously the first song where it was like every day it was like a bunch of new comments, emails, like hundreds of new likes. You know, it was actually, you know, really starting to take off.
Right.
So yeah, it was, dude, I can't even describe that feeling. It definitely was also at a time where I was like really contemplating, like not quitting, but like really not doing it as much music wise, and just sort of just like focusing on, you know, working and, you know, getting my money up. So it helped on that end too, obviously.
Right. Yeah. You said you were actually signed with a distribution deal. What can you speak on as far as that? Because I actually didn't know that coming in.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. It's the Orchard Publishing. It's a branch down to Sony Music. So it's
oh wow.
Yeah, it's nice little. It's not, obviously I didn't get in advance, but it's free distribution, and I can always sign another deal. And they you know, they put my music in playlists and stuff on Spotify and Apple Music. So, I mean, that's always good. So,
yeah. It's awesome. Are you signed to any exclusive record deal at the moment in addition to that? Or is it just
it's basically just the Orchard and just distribution through them.
Cool.
I do sometimes release. I've released like one song through DistroKid though. Just because they kind of like pick. Like I have a dude named Jake Housel. Shout out my boy Jake. He was signing me. He's a good friend of mine. He's my manager basically there. And I just email him, you know, when I'm feeling a song, I email it to him. He tells me if he likes it or not, and they drop it from there, and I have no control after that point.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's get back into Everything Is on Fire. We
Yeah.
know about that. I want to say this particular song had what, like 150K on SoundCloud, 200K somewhere around there.
It had actually 250K on SoundCloud, about 300K on Spotify. Spotify was where it got the biggest because it took over this playlist. It had like 100 on Apple Music, and then it has on Amazon Music. It got like 20. It had overall about 1 million or a little more than that.
Yeah, and I remember like we had a conversation for the first time. It was a few years ago, and I knew about your music already. And then you put out this track, and I thought it was good, but I'll be honest, I didn't really like go anything further after into it. And then when you'd hit me up about being interested in doing the interview, I put in, on YouTube, Young Phobia, Everything's on Fire, and I was like, wait a minute, it's gone. This had like a cult following to it, but
people, yeah,
there's nothing to be found. I went on SoundCloud, nothing to be found.
Yeah.
So
it's unfortunate.
if you are allowed to share the details, what exactly happened?
Well, let this be a lesson for all up-and-coming artists right here, right? So I'm 21 now. I made this song when I was maybe 3 weeks into being 18 years old. Maybe a little, probably not even. I just turned 18. I was at a buddy's house recording. He had a setup. I didn't have a pop filter. It was a really, really basic setup.
Right.
And, I didn't really write that song. I mean, I had the refrain in my head, like, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, like that little refrain.
Right.
And I just sort of threw this song together in like 5 minutes. It was just something I was feeling in the moment. And we were just looking through beats, and I was like, go on YouTube. And I said, yo, put that beat on.
Yeah.
And, most people, it was a free beat, but most people, they'll drop some beat on SoundCloud.
Right. Right.
And they'll just kind of drop some track. I had no idea that song was going to do what it did.
Yeah.
And I think it was fine for so long, but when the song was like licensed, that's when it became a problem.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I'm not gonna lie, I'm seeing money from this song, and I don't own the song. At this point, it's owned by a label. I don't own it. So one day, the producer emails me. He reaches out to me, and he's like, "Yo, I see this song up. I see it's on streaming services, and I'm finna take action." And he lives in London. This is some guy in London. And I hit him up. Yeah, he just all across the world heard that, just randomly stumbled across the song.
Yeah.
And so I hit him up back, and I was like, listen, man, like, I will literally give you 100% of what I make off this song. Like, I don't care about the money. I don't care. I literally this is a really important song to me, And I think in the long run, it was obviously a mistake on my part, but if I would tell anyone else, like, that's how you get your start on SoundCloud. You just get YouTube beats. You just use it free use, and if it blows up, I mean, you try to work it out with the producer. If you can't, then you go on that point, start buying beats. But everyone's got to get their start. And so, I mean, I tried to work with him. He wasn't having it. He said, "Nah, I don't care." I guess the damage was done. I already saw enough streams off of it.
Yeah.
And he took it down in probably like 3 days. He really took it quick.
Wow. Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing. It happens a little bit with music videos as well, in the sense that as me as a director, you work with this artist, but sometimes there's problems that get in the way. Managerial problems. I'll go a little bit into this myself. I did have a problem with a particular manager, and unfortunately, it kind of delayed actually halted the release of a music video that I considered to be some of my best work. And sometimes things like that happen in the industry, and it sucks, but you still are able to gain a very good following off of it. And
it was definitely a worth it experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, and I know the song is like sought after enough because people have re-uploaded it. People are like constantly looking for it in the comments. You can see people looking for it. That if I just got an exclusive instrumental remade, like a different, maybe slightly different, but like a similar idea, and just did the song over, I wouldn't be able to capture the same amount of attention, but probably at least a quarter of it. Which
I completely agree. Agree.
Everything's on Fire remix coming 2021.
There we go. Hey, you heard it right here. Breaking news on the Power of Conversation podcast.
Yes, sir.
You can get this podcast on all podcasting platforms and the EVZN TV YouTube channel.
Facts.
We're here with Young Phobia. What is your favorite track that you've ever made before?
Ooh, that's a great question. Probably something I have unreleased, like something where I'm really going experimentally vocally. I have this song called 5 a.m. Roxy Freestyle where I really like that song. I'm probably gonna drop it here soon, a couple days, just
cool.
for fun.
Right.
But I think that I have released. I think Over My Shoulder, just because I'm feeling that the most right now, because I've been paranoid.
I remember that. Yeah, actually, that was one of my favorite songs. When you put that out, that definitely was one that stuck with me. That's a cool song.
Appreciate it.
You did good on that one, for sure, for sure. So
I like to rap, man.
yeah, for sure.
I way prefer that.
It's about the music, the power of music.
Yes, sir.
Power.
It's the most important thing. It's the biggest thing. The biggest weapon we got right now.
Exactly.
In the world.
Who do you consider your top 3 influences at the moment?
Well, that's a really good question. I never even really thought about that. I think stylistically, Earl Sweatshirt was huge.
Oh yes, very underrated.
I think very underrated, and just the pen game, man. I feel like that's something as I've like progressed into more trendy sounds in the last year, like trying to make my flow a little more, my songs a little more appealing to a larger audience. Ooh, sorry.
You're good.
I think that I always keep that in my back pocket though. I always think like still having interesting lyrics and still like caring about the lyrics is always important to me, no matter how big I get. Like I'm always gonna care about the lyrics. So him for that, and probably Young Thug, man. That's my favorite artist.
Oh, for sure,
Young Thug. My favorite artist in the world.
You know, I think that's another one that's a little bit underrated as well. You know, Young Thug had his heyday in 2016, 2017, but you know he's not really. You know, nowadays he's kind of taking a little bit of a back seat, and that's very disappointing.
The thing about Thugger is he's actually never really sold records like that. I mean, even the Barter 6, like his debut mixtape with all the Lil Wayne drama, all that, it sold like 19,000 first week.
Right.
Granted, that was before like streaming was as big as it was now, but still, like, So Much Fun did like 120, and that's like not bad for first week, but that's his best he ever did, and like. Playboy Carti just did like 120. Like he's not like everyone. It's crazy about him is like everyone knows who he is. Like he's basically on Uzi's level in terms of like, people, if you know who Lil Uzi Vert is, you definitely know who Young Thug is.
Absolutely.
But Uzi's selling like 450, 400. You know what I'm saying? So I think his music a little less marketable because I think a big part of it is just like his delivery. Some people don't like his strained vocal delivery where he's kind of like mixing words and warble and stuff, but I think it's beautiful.
I love it. I love it too. I'm glad we agree on that. I love that. That. Number three influence.
Ooh, probably Jay-Z.
Jay-Z. Why Jay-Z?
Because Jay-Z is. There's guys like Eminem who I feel like has been in the game just as long, and they're making their worst music right now. And Jay-Z is literally not. As long as he's been rapping, he hasn't, in my opinion, not been a top 5 rapper in the game, and he's like an amazing lyricist. Like 444 by Jay-Z came out in the last 5 years, and I think it's very good. It's one of his best albums ever made, and it sounds modern. Like he's not afraid to move with the times. Like
one of my top 25 favorite albums of all time, in my opinion. And
it's an amazing record.
And he's incredible. He really is. I'm glad
he's not slowing down. Yeah, he's not slowing down.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
So, when you're making this song in the studio, you're making a Young Phobia original song. What goes into making it successful? What do you do to really capitalize on what you're saying and the message that you're delivering?
Well, in terms of success, I don't think I ever honestly never really have that in mind. Usually it's whatever I'm thinking about at the most. So like if I'm, because my music only exists in the context where I can be genuine. Like I can't just go in this booth and like do some like bullshit. Like it's usually something I'm really feeling. Like even the songs where it's a little more flexed up and I'm kind of flexing a little. Like my rule is the 10% rule. You can add 10% of what you actually live to your music. Like just for entertainment value, obviously. So like, you know, if I'm on some shit where one day where I'm geeked up and I'm looking over my shoulder and I'm paranoid, I might rap some over my shoulder shit where I'm like kind of like, you know, looking over my shoulder and like not trusting people, but like also feeling myself. If I'm like on some like, damn, my family's on the outs and I just not sure where I'm at in life, not sure how I'm feeling, I'm gonna do some Everything's on Fire, some one of these days. I like to do like relationship songs, you know, if I go through something with a female, I like to dish it out in a song, like, and they get mad about that. They get so mad.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. I've heard similar stories from other people that I've worked with. They get lashed out for it quite a bit.
I always used to think that rappers would like do a love song when they're just to get numbers, but then I realized a lot of people really just like actually they're real, like they're really talking about actual person.
It's true.
At least I know I am. Every time.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Glad you touched on that. Like I said, once again, Young Phobia right here on the Power of Conversation. You've already touched on it a little bit in the past when we were talking, but what do you want to say to people that want to go into the industry? What do you say to them?
Oof. From the little I've seen, take your time. That's the biggest thing. You have time on your hands. Like, people's attention span is so short. That's the number one thing people have to remember. It's the internet age. Like, we've seen artists come and go in the limelight.
Right.
You maintain longevity by building relationships with the people who like your music. So that means if you're like I don't know, like you're never too big to respond to a comment. You're never too big to, like just engage. Because I know I could have got big headed when everything's on fire, started taking off. And look how I'd be if I did that. I didn't like hit anyone back up or do things like this, like remain in contact with someone who I could have a conversation with. And then boom, my song's off, and now my Spotify streams are way down, and no one cares anymore.
Yeah.
You gotta maintain relationships. And also, I mean, just slow down. Like, your time will come. Like, you can drop at the internet age, you can drop something every day, and eventually you throw enough shit at the wall, something's gonna stick. Like, because people's attention spans are so short, like they're gonna forget about who they're fucking with and start listening to you. So I just think, don't get burnt out because it's not happening today. Because it's gonna happen if you keep doing it and you're any good and you're making something genuine. It will happen to some capacity. It might not be selling out shows, but you're gonna have response. Good music will be heard. That's my philosophy. If you make good music, it's going to be heard in some way. And if it's not being heard, it's probably not good. I'm just saying. That's just my opinion.
Hey, that's some good advice right there. I feel like a lot of people need to hear that, especially for people entering the industry and really wanting an idea as to what they want to do. And, when I'm selecting, when I talk to people about music videos, I don't go out of my way to talk to everybody. I listen to music that is sent to me or music that I find, and I'm just like, if it really connects with me and it really just strikes something with me, then I just go for it. And I also really care about the character of the people that are in these music videos too. That goes a long way. And I'm glad you really touched on that because that's very important.
For sure.
So, Young Phobia 2021 collision course. There is going to be there's going to be a lot of content made from Young Phobia. What is the plan for 2021, the definitive plan?
Okay, well, I'm definitely going to release a music video in the next 3 months.
Okay.
And then I got an album coming out called Irrational Fears.
All right.
And it's going to be my debut. Like, I have a debut before called Phobia, but it's no longer on the internet. I just kind of don't. It's like my amateurish first release. But this is my first real deal. Like, every beat is going to be, obviously I exclusively own every instrumental. It's going to be my best project. It's going to be my most, like, experimental release. So
all right.
Every song is going to be different.
Cool.
Like, nothing anyone's concept of what my music sounds like, throw it out the window. That's all I can really say. It's completely different.
Awesome stuff. So that was about all of my questions I had for you. Is there anything else you want to add?
Shit, man. This year's been a crazy year, man. I really hope this is going to be a better year. I just have a good feeling about it.
Absolutely.
I feel like we've learned. 2020, we learned how to move forward. Honestly, man, if I got to do this COVID shit the rest of my life, it's really not that bad, man. I'm one of the only people that feel like there's a lot of good in it.
Yeah,
like,
true.
It's going to make a lot of people, it's going to force a lot of people to just persevere, and it's going to weed out the people who are going to get rolled over.
Right.
And I'm going through it, so I'm trying to get on top.
Right. Seeing the good in things that are perceived as bad. That's Young Phobia, and that's a perfect way to end this interview, bro. That tells you tells you all you need to know about who Young Phobia is. Thank you for coming on, bro. This was a great interview.
Yeah, man. I really enjoyed it. Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Conversation podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube via EVZN TV, be sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. Or if you're listening to this on any podcasting platforms, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Once again, thank you for listening to the Power of Conversation podcast, and we'll see you again next time.